Mark. Hey everyone, here's my review of Thor Love and Thunder. Um, Guess I should start off with Stan Lee first, alright? So, Stan has something to say, so I'm gonna let him say it. Alright, you're up, Stan. There's a reason why Phase 4 is also known as Phase Bore. And he's right. Let me stand right there like that. He's good. Alright, first, let me make a note of something here. Please ignore the excess noise. I'm recording this during the busy part of the day, and a lot of traffic going by. You may hear some airplanes go by as well. So anyway, it is what it is. All right. So, um, the best way to start this the best way to start this review off is, um, I never wasn't really a fan of Thor. Not that I don't like him. As far as the comic books go, not that I don't like the character, I just never really connected with him. Basically, as far as his solo adventures went. Now, I liked him when he interacted with other heroes like Wolverine, Spider-Man, or the Avengers. Never really had a problem with him. So it may sound like I have some bias, but I don't. I mean, I just never really connected with the character like most other characters that I've connected with. Um, so. That doesn't mean I have anything against Thor the character as far as the movies go, as far as how he's being portrayed by Chris Hemsworth. So, um, let's start off like this. There are a couple of people that I watch whose opinions that I trust as far as movies go, and they've basically compared the Thor movies to the Batman movies that came out in the late 80s and early 90s. So you had Batman, Batman Begins, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. And you kind of see the decline of how the quality of those movies went. Well, some people are actually saying the same thing about the Thor movies. So you had Thor, which I thought was pretty good. You had Thor Underworld, not Underworld, Thor Dark World, sorry. Got my movies mixed up. And I thought it was hit or miss, basically. Thor Ragnarok I liked because it changed the formula up a little bit, and just a little bit. And plus, it was a little bit of an homage to comic book artist Jack Kirby. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He worked for both Marvel and DC and revolutionized the way modern comic books are drawn. And then you have Thor: Love and Thunder, which is basically, if you go by the scale that people are using, this is Thor, Batman, and Robin, basically. So, yeah, quality of it went down a little bit. This movie, it's a different beast. Let's put it that way. I definitely didn't connect with it very well. It was so. Let's start off with the plot synopsis, okay? First, all right. After the events of Endgame, Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy hook up, and they're going on having intergalactic adventures all around across the galaxy. So, and you see him in the trailer. You know, he's working out and he's getting his buff bod back, and somewhere along the line, I guess he's having somewhat of a midlife crisis. So he decides to go find himself. So he does that. Meanwhile, Gore, the God Killer, which is a fairly new character. I think he came out between about 5 or 10 years ago. He's going around slaughtering gods, all of them, any of them. And guess what gods are next on his list? That's right, the Norse gods. So, he's off to New Asgard to take care of them. Meanwhile, Jane Foster, spoiler alert, as Archer would say, has cancer and is dying. So, somehow she's worthy enough to wield Mjolnir again. Mjolnir was broken in Ragnarok, if you remember correctly, and all of the pieces come together like the Avengers, and now she's able to wield Mjolnir again, and she becomes the mighty Thor, which I have a problem with, and many of us do to an extent. I'll get to that later. And so, we get a lot of jokes as usual, and you saw it in the commercial and in the trailers. Zeus of the Greek gods just flicks off Thor's all of Thor's clothing by accident, supposedly, I guess. And you see Chris Hemsworth in all of his glory, all of his naked glory, or as the Rugrats how he used to put it, naked glory, basically. So, you get some awkwardness, because of past romance, basically, and you get a good fight, a big fight at the end of the movie, of course, as well, and then boom, the end. And there are two stingers, of course. One of those stingers kind of actually surprised me. I'm kind of like to see where that's going to lead. So, that's one. That's the end for that. One of the good things I will say is the story is actually pretty decent. It really is. To an extent, I think it was executed poorly. To an extent, I think it could have been done a little bit better. It also shows that Marvel Studios doesn't have a plan. I think they're just kind of crapping things out and seeing what works, basically. And it almost kind of shows that Taika Waititi is maybe a one-hit wonder with the Marvel Universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, or he was a fluke with Ragnarok. I mean, Marvel Studios was obviously pleased with what he did with Ragnarok, and basically gave him carte blanche with this. I mean, I think he went completely nutso with this. So, there are a lot of jokes, and in all honesty, I think this is what's one of the disappointing things about the movie. It's disappointing because what? A lot of the jokes just don't work. I don't pay attention to what's going on in the movie theater when I'm watching a movie as far as how the audience is reacting to the movie. Every once in a while I will. But with this, I mean, the theater was completely silent the majority of the time. I think I chuckled at one joke, and I can't even remember what that joke was. There was a guy to my far left, down in front, my right. I mean, your right, my left. He laughed out loud at one joke. I can't remember what that joke was. But to be honest, it was just all silence, basically. This movie was just kind of boring to a certain degree. And that was also disappointing as well. Positive thing, Christian Bale as Gore the God Killer, great. He brought his A game. You really do see and really feel why Gore did what he did and reacted the way he did. And of course, you have Chris Hemsworth, he's Thor. I mean, he owns the character. That's him, So you get a good performance out of him as always. And Tessa Thompson and Natalie Portman, hit or miss. They were fine, I guess. So, negative things. Let's go through a little comic book history, okay? When Thor first appeared in comics, in Marvel Comics, he was, I can't remember what his name was. He was a doctor, and he was crippled, and so he walked with the cane. So, when he struck the cane to the ground, the cane became Mjolnir, and he became Thor. So I'm going to strike my cane to the ground, and now I have, well, it's not Mjolnir, but it's a Harley Quinn hammer pudding, and so now I'm the mighty Thor! No, I'm Fat Thor. I'm Dad Bod Thor, I guess. So, here's the problem. Here's one of the issues, and yes, it may be minute, but still, it's an issue. Thor is his name. Thor Odinson. It's not a title. It's not a mantle. It's not CEO, CFO, COO, or private officer, detective, sergeant, captain, anything like that. It's his name. Mjolnir clearly states that whoever is worthy to wield the hammer will wield the power of Thor, not become Thor. So, case in point, in Endgame, Cap wielded Mjolnir. He didn't become Captain Thor. He was still Captain America. He was still Steve Rogers. He just had the power of Thor. So to give Natalie Portman's character the name Mighty Thor, that doesn't make sense. You're just basically saying that the name of Thor is insignificant and that anyone can have it. Anyone and everyone can have it. So that's one thing. Again, minute, but still it's an issue. The other thing, and I mentioned this with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Look, again, I'm very indifferent about the whole representation thing, and this is coming from a person of color who is also a creator. I am an artist. So, the idea of, Valkyrie, in the comics, she's not she's not black either, or mixed race, whatever you want to call it. She's white, and we don't think she's not bi. But Tessa Thompson is bi, and so she made it a point to make the character bi. Look, again, I don't have an issue with that. I'm very indifferent about it. I don't care. You live your life the way you want to. Just don't tell me how to live my life the way that I want to. But that's been going on as far as the media goes, as far as different mediums go, and as far as social and political climate goes. And look, I get it. That's fine. It's no big deal. But the thing is that you don't have to tell us every moment. It's like, first time around, cool. Okay, no big deal. Second time around, okay, fine, no big deal. Third time around, it's like, you know what? All right. The fourth time, fifth time, it's like, okay, we get it. Seriously, we get it. You don't have to keep reminding us, okay? We honestly and truly get it. It's just like when, say, for example, when you join a gym, when you want to join a gym and you go, do some research and you talk to one of the representatives and they come off as being very aggressive and very pushy, and it turns you off. You don't want to join the gym now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just like if someone is attracted to you, well, guess what? And they keep pursuing you and keep coming on too strong. Well, it turns you off because what? They're coming off as desperate. This is what this kind of thing is that's going on now, whether it's with entertainment or Hollywood or sports or whatever. And again, I get it, but there comes a point in time when you're overdoing it, and it's like, okay, look, if I want to be lectured to, I'll enroll in a college course. If I want to be preached to, I'll go to church. Look, but don't nag. We get it. It's okay. You don't have to keep letting us know. So, that's the other thing. Other than that, let me bring this up to Stan Lee, the old guard in general, but Stan Lee said, look, it's okay to put a message into something, because people will say, well, everything had a message, and entertainment had a message, all nerd culture had a message. Of course it did. But as Stan said one time, and you can look it up, he said, look, I don't beat the reader over the head with it. Story comes first. The message should be underlying, and the reader should be able to figure it out and decide for themselves what it means, and take whatever it is it means, basically. Walt Disney was the same way. He said, if you're gonna put a lesson in something, you better damn well make sure it's entertaining. So I think that's where we're starting to get to a point to where, look, no one cares. Look, and don't get me wrong, I know there are people who are out there, I hate those people, but for the most part, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but for the most part, I think the majority of people are just kind of over it and just kind of go, okay, fine, no big deal. They don't care. Which brings up another point, basically. Again, Tessa Thompson's character is bi, and it's like, look, go in the early 1990s, there was a character, North Star. He was part of a group called Alpha Flight, which was a Canadian government-sanctioned group of mutants, basically. He came out as gay in the early 90s. Very taboo at the time. I remember when that actually happened. The first Muslim character is not Kamala Khan. Superhero is not Kamala Khan. It's early 2000s. There was a character, another mutant, X-Men, named Dust, who had the power to turn into sand, basically. So, I mean, it pains me to see that there are characters that are decades old and have a history that are being skipped over in favor of these new or revitalized characters. You have characters here. Why are they being skipped over? Either A, purposely choosing to ignore them, or B, they don't know that they exist. So either, as Megatron once said, "You're either lying or you're stupid." That's what he said to Starscream once. So, but that's one of the things. Though those are the things that kind of bother me about the movie. A little bit more of comic book history. Like as I mentioned with the original Thor, it kind of ties into Jane Foster a little bit because he was sickly, she was sickly. Mjolnir basically rejuvenated him. Mjolnir rejuvenated her as well. That was a couple of years ago, several years ago. Then enter Siege, an event called Siege that happened in the early 2000s, and you had where Asgard crashed to Earth. That's where that part comes from. And you had Nick Fury, not white Nick Fury, but not Samuel L. Jackson Nick Fury, who comes from the Ultimate Marvel Universe, but they imported him into the 616 universe. And they're on the moon, and he whispers something into Thor's ear, and Thor drops Mjolnir. He's no longer worthy of wielding Mjolnir. No one knows what he said to this day, but and I don't think that anyone's ever cleared it up. But anyway, somehow Jane gets to the moon and picks up Mjolnir, and now she's Mighty Thor. That's how that all happened. So, I mean, if you trust my opinion on this movie, in all honesty, I would wait until it streams on Disney Plus. You're already paying for Disney Plus. You may as well go ahead and wait until you watch it there. Or if you don't have Disney Plus and you want to see it, sail the high seas. I mean, I'm not endorsing that, but yo ho, So, but if you have to see it, if you really, really have to see it, if you have to be a part of that crowd, because that's basically what Marvel has become now, is they're too cool to sit at the nerds table, so now they're with the popular kids table, and the nerd table is going, they're using you, you know that, right? So, if Marvel does fall flat, and, will we all be there? Who knows? I don't know if I will either, because I'm kind of getting bored a little bit with this. But anyway, if you really have to be a part of the crowd and want to be up to date with everything, you have an extreme case of FOMO, fear of missing out, then I would say at least save yourself some money, matinee it. And in all honesty, that's being too generous in my opinion. I would say dollar theater it instead. But that's how I look at it. I guess that's it. So, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Hopefully this helps. And sorry I didn't do anything special like any skits or anything fun or do impressions. Well, I did, I guess, a little bit. So, I guess that's it. So, as for me, I'm going to take my hammer and I'll see you next time.